Hey folks, good afternoon. Today I'm going to be putting some stain on this shelf that I made a while back. I do believe this is the one that you guys saw me build. I've got some stain Rust-Oleum. It is coral. I've never ever used this kind of stain before. So we're going to see how this works out. Now, one of the best applicators for stain is an old sock. Me and socks do not agree. As you can see there's a big hole. It didn't come that way. It was just like a little hole was ripped in it, and I always rip them a lot bigger so that I know that that sock is bad. Before I do this, I need my gloves. So I did have to actually break down and buy gloves, which is funny because I use gloves every day at work, just like this, for a fiberglass pipe, installing all that crap and putting those joints together. And these are actually smaller than what I usually use. But anyway, let's get this guy going here and see what we can do. I hope the lighting's okay. We're having a lot of storms today, just little pop-up thunderstorm things, and yeah, they don't last very long, but we'll go with something looking like that. That is a weather alert. Hang on. Okay, so anyway, that was a weather alert for counties that are close by. Nothing for me. Wow, that looks like pink almost. You can see the color of that. The lighting is not very good, but we're going to use this stuff. And my workbench, unfortunately, is my table saw. It's going to be great. Now, let's just put it on there and see what happens. Wow, it's like a real pink looking stain. Appears to be going on pretty good. This is, I think I said Rust-Oleum. It came from Walmart, unfortunately. I hate going to that place, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm gonna put a real light coat on this. I don't want it to be too pink. I'm actually going to give this one to my daughter. She's having a tough time, being a teenager. Teenage years are always really tough anyway, for anybody. She's not had the best family structure. Not my fault, of course, but anyway, thinking that she could use a nice shelf to put things on, so I'd make her something from the heart. Anyway, there's a lot of thinking and a lot of energy goes into making a shelf, you know. It's not just slapping some wood together and seeing how it comes out in the end. It's planning and well, whatever. It takes a while to just make a simple shelf. Anyway, the pollen has been incredibly high, and I have been coughing and sneezing and gagging and all that other good stuff. Never had allergies as a kid. Well, apparently I do now. My doctor put me on Allegra D. It's supposed to be good for that sort of thing. I don't really think it's working that well, but I did go a few days without taking it just to see what was happening, and good gravy, I did nothing but cough. But of course I am a smoker, so that's not helping anything. Let's see. Today is May. What is today? May 13th, maybe? Sunday. It might be the 13th. I think it might be. A lot of people's tending to their gardens. It's gardening time, of course. I am still on the fence whether or not I'm going to put a garden out. Kind of thinking that, you know, if I do, it'll just be a little small garden. Not going to go through all that hassle that I did last year when we had the flood come in and kind of take everything out. Did consider through the winter putting a garden on higher ground. That's a lot of work, and I probably wasted too much time to have anything ready on higher ground for planting. I might be able to make it if I tried right now, but you know, whatever. There's other years to do gardening, so I think I might build a couple raised beds and go that route. Put in some cucumbers and maybe some squash. Oh, there's a weather alert. Now, we've been having, like I said, weird pop-up storms kind of coming out of nowhere. This little, you look at the radar and there's nothing there, then suddenly you get a weather alert that says, batten down the hatches. Everything's going to blow away. And it's kind of been that way for the past week, really. So, yeah, this is definitely pink. But it looks pretty cool. This is white oak, by the way. Excuse me. Just back corner here, I think you guys can still see what I'm doing. And I just put just a little dab of stain on the sock thing here. Stain goes a long way. Now when I go to lacquer this, that's going to be a different story. It's going to take a lot of lacquer, and it's going to take several applications of lacquer to be complete. I've got to tell you, working with wood is something that I really, really love. Out here in my little shop, kind of away from the world for the most part. You know, of course I got the radio and I still got Wi-Fi out here, so I can play around, watch movies, or in the background, or just, you know, have music on or something. You know, it's got to have a little bit of a connection, but of course I could go without any kind of connection. Nothing good ever really comes in from my connection anyhow, so. Ah, jeez. There's another one. Alright, hold on, Mr. Radio, I'll check you out. Oh, jeez.
Severe thunderstorm watch number 86, effective until 11 p.m. This watch includes the following counties in Ohio: Belmont, Guernsey, Monroe, Noble, and Washington, and the following counties in West.
Okay, so we had we said Guernsey, that's the county that I'm in. Severe thunderstorm watch. Not warning, it'll probably jump to warning here in a little bit. Had to put a new glove on. Okay, so anyway, I got all the stain on there. I kind of wipe everything sort of dry. Get all the big dollops out of there and keep them kind of even. Everything kind of pretty, nice and smooth. So now I gotta put this critter over. Usually I wouldn't be doing this on a table saw, but fortunately this is all I got to work with right now. Haven't had the time to build myself a little workbench, which I will be doing very soon. probably in the next, I don't know, week or something like that. I did find a supplier of oak and poplar, of red oak and poplar, but it's kind of expensive and it's kind of a pain in the butt to get it because they only have certain amounts and blah blah blah, and you can't put an order in to get a whole bunch. They just, whenever they get a shipment, and then they display it for sale, and if you want it, get it. If not, well, someone else will. Kind of whatever. But anyway, that works for now. This white oak actually came from a friend of mine who cut this on his own land, which is, so let's say, I don't know, maybe a couple miles from where I live. Maybe a mile actually from where I live. That's where this tree came from. So again, there's that labor of love and the connection to nature going into what I'm doing. I do love doing this. I guess everybody has some sort of niche that they're good at. I don't know that I'm actually good at this, but something I sure love doing. Taking something from nothing and making it look good. It's kind of my thing. It's kind of like baking it, I guess, when I think about it. Okay, a little bit more on the back here. Ooh, starting to get fumes. I have to open some windows. I did put an air conditioner in here today. Not so much for the temperature, but humidity is a terrible thing when you're woodworking. High humidity. You want real low humidity when you're doing any kind of woodworking. The lower the better. You want the work piece that you're using to be really dry. I think it's around about 3 or 4% or something like that. I can't really remember exactly what it is. Moisture. And that's so things don't warp and split or whatever. The drying process with lumber is a special thing. It's not just hold it in front of a fan for 20 minutes and hey, it feels dry. Well, you know, there's still a lot of moisture in it. Moisture's a thing for a lot of things, really. Okay, so now I think I've pretty much got all of it. Check the bottom here real good. Now this stuff says it takes about an hour to dry. So I'm going to set it up on the back side, right there. I think you can still see what I'm, yeah, you can still see what I'm doing. This weird pink shell. It's got more of a red color now that it's soaked in a little bit. I don't like it. You can still see the wood grain really good through it. I'll let it dry for about an hour. Gotta open the windows because it is fumy in here. Anyway, like I said, I have the air conditioner to suck out the moisture, which is really cool. Okay, so I guess that's probably about it. Something real big to check is your corners. Seems like your stain loves to live in the corners. Not that that's going to hurt anything. It's just going to be a pinker spot, I guess. So, anyway, this sock did have one last purpose. And that's to make something ugly beautiful. You know, whether it's really ugly or not. And this is kind of how I do this to get rid of, excuse me, my stain rag. I get a good old grip on it, pinch here, Get a hook underneath. Pull it out. And that hand's clean. Take his finger up under there. I can grab it. Now this is a clean surface all the way around that I can handle. And throw away or whatever. So, gonna let this dry for around an hour. And, well, we'll check back in if it's good and if it's time to put the first coat of lacquer on. Well, that's been just about an hour of waiting, and it still feels slightly oily to me. Everything is dry. It just, you know, I don't really feel comfortable putting lacquer on there, and you know, I'm not getting anything off on my hand. It does feel pretty good and dry, but I think I'm probably just going to let this guy set for a little bit. So now I need to move on to another project. So, well, those of you who know me, I could not be satisfied with just putting an air conditioner in the window. I did decide to make some sort of ductwork here. I'm going to divide the cold output to the warm input, I guess, diffuser, and whatever this would be called, where the cold comes out. Just a little window unit that I just kind of threw in here and decided to do something cool with it. Now this is on a curve all the way through there. I scribed it and cut it out with a bandsaw so that I can get a good seal, and I did have to build it out so it's flush up here and over here, of course. Now this is still recessed a little bit. I screwed up. This screw should have been put over here because the filter is right there. I have to be able to remove all of this to slide that filter out and clean it and put it back in. It probably won't be too crappy by the time the cold comes back, but you know, just to do it right, I'm gonna do this, and this will be here, you know, forever. So that's a thing. Also, if I'll focus, well, yeah, I did put a shelf up top with some leftover material that I had. This is that shelf that I'm standing. It's just kind of laying up there, and it's going to dry overnight. I did put these stops in right there. Just I think they were like 10 and 13/16 or something like that. They fit nice and tight, and they fit behind the gussets here for the upper shelf, and that's to prevent anybody from kicking the air conditioner out and, you know, raising the window or whatever. And right there's the van. There's the van. He's just sitting there waiting on some cool stuff. And I got one on this side as well that's holding the window down. You know, just a little bit of extra precaution. Well, this little thing. This whole thing started with this little guy. This is called a radioscope. The little fins have black on one side and they're gray on the other. When sunlight hits it directly on the black side, it makes it spin, and it's just kind of a cool solar thing. You know, I kind of like it. So this is 5/4 deck boards, as you can probably tell. I have a lot of scrap material left over. This is a piece of red oak that's just there because I don't know why. Don't really have an answer for that. Anyway, we are under a severe thunderstorm warning. It's probably been 2 hours since the last clip, so yeah, big stuff coming. Sounds like it's gonna get scary, like 60-mile-an-hour wind and hail and stuff, so that will be fun. Okay, folks, so set up my router table. I actually just bought this router table the other day. Still got some little quirks about it that I don't really like. It is kind of a lower end model of router tables. I put my Bosch router in it and got it all kind of tuned up. It's not really locking in the way I like it to, so not real sure how long I'm going to have this critter here, but did build a stand for it to sit on to where it's good working height. I can come up and use my my wood stock to go through and cut it out. I do have a rabbet joint in here, and we're gonna try to make a rabbet joint in this piece of poplar. It's all scratched up, and there's still the square stock end that is not clean, but we're gonna see what happens here. Now that is actually a very clean, straight cut for a rabbet joint. I heard a lot of tearing, but apparently through the cut, it did okay. I'm going to turn the speed up on my router here. Whoops. Let's see, which way is up? This way is up. So let's try this critter again on this side. See what happens. Another very clean cut. This is a brand new rabbet joint, or rabbet router blade, so let's see what it does on end grains up at high speed. And of course, you know, that's what happens if you're not paying attention. You get tear out. So let me drop the speed down a little bit, and I'm gonna rabbet the other side and see if I can avoid that tear out. Still had a little bit of tear out, but not real bad, and it cut very good, except for that tear out. I don't like that. Now of course the way to do that is to come in from this side before you start making your long cut. End grain, you know, it does that, but I kind of just wanted to see what it would do with the table. Very surprised that it's that clean. Now I do see a little bit of difference right there. There is a little bit of difference there, so something's moving, and I've noticed that since I've zeroed this out to bring both fences up, it's moved a little bit, because when I come across I have to roll it to get the edge. So this is it's kind of like I said, a very low grade table, but you know, at least it smells good in here. And I do like to switch. The router is plugged into the back side of this, and it all operates off this switch. I think you can see that. Yeah, I think you just barely see the switch right here. No, yeah, that's a thing. So let's see if we can fine tune this thing a little bit more and make something happen with it. So I decided to switch out router blades, router bits, I guess, from the rabbeting bit to a 1/4 inch Roman OG, or OG, however that might be said. Not real sure which way that is said, OG or OG, but this is what we're doing here. Take the bit out. That's the rabbet bit. It goes over here in my thingamajigger. Come on, get down in there. There you go, sugar. Now put this guy in here. Now I can't let them set all the way down. Run until it's tight-ish, pull it up a good bit and put some tension on it. Now, when it goes into the table, there's a gap, a little bit of a space that I kind of just barely have to be down to where it bites. It might be actually too much. Hang on, turn the radio off. Just turn it down, that'll work. It will not fit good. In the table as it would just plain old router. Okay, so got that guy in there, and my wrench is back up so I know where they are. Those things are super easy to lose. Let's get this guy down here. Let's put this critter, I think I'm all the way set down. Put this guy back up underneath here, which is kind of not very convenient really when you look at it. Okay, now, oops, yep, that's why. Okay, so we're gonna run this guy up, and I can already see that it's gonna hit the fence down here. So I gotta move my fence a little bit. Yeah, about to there maybe. Just lock it down. And I'm starting to get some tear out actually on the fence itself of this thing. Okay, let's run this guy up. I think you can see the bit. I hope you can anyway. Now let's run it up all the way. And see. We'll go down right there. Lock the router in. And, well, I don't know if I want, I'm going to use a different piece. There's another piece that I was kind of playing with while I was setting this. Let's see if we can get a Ogie bit on here. Ogie, well, you'll see. That's the style, and it cut real good. I just have a little fuzz of over, but yeah, real good. Really happy with that. No wiggles, no wobbles. Let's do the other side real quick. Yeah, just as perfect. Nice. Absolutely beautiful. That's pretty cool. So anyway, that's what I enjoy doing while I'm not digging holes in the woods and, you know, building cabins and stuff like that. This is kind of my thing. So, well, we'll talk about that. Okay, so I just took the whole fence off of the whole thing, and I'm going to use this just as a normal router, like normal people would, and just do away with the whole thing. And I noticed that there's some swelling around the edges. That's why I'm digging out here. There has been some moisture at some point down in there, but I'm going to try full-fledged full dig on a piece of poplar. It's slightly rounded over here, but all the other edges are square. So let's see what happens. looking joint right there. A couple little ripples, little burn right there, and that's what happens. Let's try the end grain. Not bad. Little burning here and there. Not bad. Easily hand sanded out. Nice square. Except for that. I don't like that wiggle right there. Let's fix that. I took the wiggle out, and nice square edge. You can hand sand those little burns out, that little slight tear up top there. You know, for a shelf, that would look pretty good. Anyway, yeah, not much prepping related stuff here, but this is what I do when I'm not prepping. I enjoy the good stuff. And my apron, which you might be able to see right here. I think I said I was going to talk about this, but anyway, whatever. There's my apron. Keep my pencils here. Got a square down here. Got a tape measure. Got more pencils over here. They're not there. Yeah, they're there. They're down inside. Mechanical pencils are awesome for woodworking because your lead is always fine and you don't have to sharpen anything and good stuff.